Bryce Harper's injury got you down? Are you a Mark Trumbo owner too? Do you have Chris Sale and you're waiting for him to get back? Well, too bad. Suck it up. Keep playing hard. You got to still try to win. Just because you have a few injuries, everybody else is going to get some too. Just you got yours all clumped together right now. What do you do in those situations? Your season's not over, but how do you dig yourself out of this hole? Chris, I know you've got a suggestion for me.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're talking about the Yahoo Friends and Family League, and that's your situation. You have all three of those guys hurt, Trumbo, Harper, and Sale, and you really can't drop them. But you only have 2 DL slots, so already, that's one bench slot that's clogged up by a DL guy. I think you have a 4th guy in the DL too, right?
Yeah, Casey Jansen.
Okay.
I have Casey Jansen. I also had Adrian Beltre earlier too, and I had AJ Griffin, so that was also pretty awesome. I cut him
AJ Griffin is worthless though in that league. I mean, he's so marginal.
Oh, I know.
So,
I'm aware of that.
I don't want to even hear any complaining. Okay, just I don't want that to be viewed as a legitimate complaint. But and Adrian Beltre, okay, he was on a minimum DL stint. Okay, that's fine. But the situation you have is
stacking back either. He hasn't. I don't think he's homered yet this year.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But the issue is that stacking up on you, and this is a league. NFBC is a little similar. It's not quite as stark as the Friends and Family, where you have these games played limits. You need the flexibility to get there. I see you have no one at third base today. You're just losing games that you're never going to get back, and so you need to do something, right? You can't just sit there and wait 2 months for Harper to get back unless everybody else miraculously gets healthy and nobody else gets hurt. That's the other problem, is you can't count on the rest of your roster to stay healthy. A, because it's baseball, it's just been like that, and 2, because obviously you have a knack for drafting injury-prone guys. So the way you can get out of this is by trading, right? You can say, okay, I'll let Harper be your problem. Yeah, maybe I'll have a huge windfall in the second half, or maybe he'll be slow with the thumb, but in any event, it's out of your hands, and you get somebody who's going to produce now. Obviously, it's not going to be as good as Harper, but you make a move. Now, you didn't like George Springer. It was funny because I had the Yahoo guys, Pianowski, Dalton Del Don, Brandon Funston, Andy Behrens, and Brad Evans over last night. We're having a little barbecue at the house. I should probably tweet like a photo of the meat that I took on the grill at some point. But we were all talking about, anyone offer Jeff anything for Harper? Because you sent out that email around the league. And I said, yeah, I offered Springer. And they were all like laughing at me like that was a ridiculous offer. And I'm like, okay, well, what would you offer that's more than that? And Pianowski's like, I thought about offering Victorino, but I decided not to. I'm like, okay, so you wouldn't offer Victorino at this point for Harper, who's out 2 months. Who would you offer? He's like, maybe Colabello. I'm like, oh, okay, so now you're laughing at Springer, but you're going to offer him Colabello. And so he and I ended up having a bet on Springer. We're going to do head-to-head Colabello-Springer, but then I said it's really about Springer's upside that I care about, not the head-to-head. And so we have a weird bet where he's giving me 5-1 that Springer's not a top 70 player from April 30th on. That's our bet.
Measured by how?
By monsterbaseball.com or just some random, reasonably accurate measurement of top 5x5 top 70 players. We have this bet, 5-1 odds I'm getting on Springer. I said, I don't care. Yeah, you're right. He gets sent down to the minors, but if he does, the light bulb goes on, then here's his upside. So fine. So you didn't like the Springer offer either, but nobody's giving you anything better, have they?
No, they haven't. In fact, nobody's given me an offer, period. And this is standard, actually. I mean, P&O at least bothered to email and said, I kicked the tires, couldn't find anything. Okay, so he looked, at least. Thanks for at least acknowledging my existence. I appreciate that. Now, hey, I get it, though, because you know what? I don't want to pull the whole, hey, look at my roster, make me an offer guy. I get it. It's on me to make the offer, so I'm going to kind of take a look and do that, but, no one's like, oh, yeah, give me this injured guy either, though. So I get it. But you made a counteroffer, and it's fair, but I don't want to give up saves yet. I don't think that's a right play. And you offered me one that gave me an offer that also required me to give up Joe Nathan, who has stabilized since a rough start. You offered me it was Rizzo and Nathan for Kubel and Harper. Rizzo and Kubel for Nathan and Harper. And I feel like I'm kind of giving up all the upside in that sort of deal. I'm willing to counter offer to straight up Rizzo for Harper. What do you think about that?
No chance, Rizzo for
No
Harper.
chance.
What do you mean giving up the upside? That's not even in the ballpark. Look, you're giving up all the upside in the offer. You don't think Rizzo at age 24 has ridiculous upside? Rizzo can hit.
Okay, I overstated the case. You're right. I obviously like Rizzo. I'm going after him. So there is upside there. There is upside there.
Look, let's just get this straight. Let's get reality back onto, and let's get to planet Earth right now, okay? Your guy is out for half the season, okay? And it is a league where it's a real pain in the ass to maneuver when you have DL guys. Now I happen to have 0 DL guys, so I can actually take this on, and hopefully, knock on wood, I won't have to carry. I just got Middlebrooks back. I picked up Cam Maven. He's active. I'm sure he'll be on the DL. I'll drop him when that happens. But so far I'm pretty DL free, right? So I'm okay. But I'm going to need those DL spots, I guarantee, at some point in the next couple months, and it gets a bit costly. And every move that you don't make, every Thursday guy that you don't pick up, okay, costs you at bats, run production that you'll never get back in this league. And so you're getting Rizzo plus all of that extra run production from the flexibility. You can drop Kubel or use him, whatever, who cares? And I'm getting half a season of Harper. Now, of course, Rizzo is going to be worth much more.
And you're
getting
getting 5 months of a closer. That's
fine. You could argue that Nathan is too big of a difference, but Rizzo for Harper is just a non-starter.
Okay.
It must be a significant plus in addition to Harper to equal Rizzo when Harper's out 2 months. And I would say that if Nathan is too big of a plus for you, fine. Maybe I can give you back somebody slightly better than Kubel. I would consider that, but not much better. I mean, I feel like there's a significant gap between Rizzo and half a season of Harper, especially in that format. Now, if we were in in the FSTA league where you have infinite DL spots, then Harper is actually worth a little bit more because he's not, you miss a month and a half or 2 months or whatever it is, but you're not also losing all the flexibility to make moves. He just sits on your DL, doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, and I will say this then. Okay, I see where you're coming from that. I don't know if we're going to get there, but I will say that Nathan is too far. Let's see if I can find something else in between that, but I am not. And the thing is, if I give up Nathan, I'm just completely punting saves for the season. I can't do that.
But it's better to punt sooner rather than later because you're probably not going to get there even with Nathan. You're already behind the 8 ball. You got Jansen sitting there. Who knows when and if he's going to come back and how effective he'll be when he comes back. Santos at least has been shit in the bed, so it looks like Jansen should get a pretty quick shot if he's good. But you're already in the hole. I mean, you're going to have to find some extra closers. You're not even if Jansen comes back, say June 1st or May 25th or May 20th, you're probably going to be bottom third.
I think he's coming back like May 15th.
Okay, even so, you're going to be bottom third in saves. With just 2 guys, with 1 3/4 guys.
That's assuming I make no other moves the rest of the season. I'm going to make other moves the rest of the season,
which will cost you. It'll cost you to get those closers. Of course. Or you'll get lucky and you'll grab one before everybody else does.
Yeah, I mean, granted, with like the Razzball like trio and P&L and all these other people that have like combos in this league. By the way, what's up with these like having partners in Yahoo Friends and Family? How lame is that? I'm going to call out some of our colleagues here on this.
No, there's two different.
Salfino's got Steingall, and the Razzball guys work together. I know they separated a couple of the Razzball guys, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it seems like there's like 3 or 4 people, like Singman and Johnson are together. Okay, Razzball, I'm going to back off. Rudy and Gray have separate teams this year. We're up to 15 teams. It makes it a little bit harder, but I just hate these combo teams in expert leagues. Step up for yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I think what it is it just lets you be a little bit lazier. But it's certainly in a first-come, first-served league to have 2 guys looking at it. But Salvino's not even trying. I offered him Rizzo for Greg Holland a couple days ago, and he said, look, this league just requires too many moves. And I'm like,
what?
So he's basically just not going to – he doesn't – I mean, to his credit, if he doesn't feel like he's, going to seriously compete by making all these moves that everybody else is doing, at least he's not going to, like, affect the course of the league by making – a trade that will affect the balance. I mean, not that it's not a fair trade, but just maybe I really need Holland for some reason, and that I win the league, and then he feels bad because he wasn't taking it that seriously, and he's affected the outcome. So at least he's not affecting the outcome. But it's like it's a daily moves league. You may as well just bail on it then because you're really not going to win this league unless you either have incredible health luck. His team's not even that bad. It's in like 7th or 8th place, or you make a lot of moves. There's really no other way. This is the only 2 ways to do it, really, right?
All right. What if you throw me a starting pitcher instead of Kubel back in return? If I give up, I'm looking at the categories a little bit closer and all that, and it might be advantageous, but I'd rather at least do well. What if instead of Kubel you gave me Willie Peralta, Rizzo and Peralta for Nathan and Harper?
I would probably do that, in part because I have Peralta everywhere. So if he does
Right.
somehow blow up for you, I'm going to be happy. I have him in the main event. I have him in the online league. I have him in my home league.
I have a handful of shares of him too, and I like the pitcher, and I'm a believer in what he's done so far.
Okay, I think I
I'll do
would do
that.
that.
I'm going to counter
Okay.
right now for you on that.
Done. Accepted. I'll do that.
The first ever RotoWire video trade.
That is, and we did not stage this. I had no idea. I did not know. And yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, that's a very fair, very fair. I understand. There's some plus that you needed. I needed a plus. I needed Nathan coming back, but that was too much. So now we've subtracted from that. Now we're good. We're good. Done.
Yeah, we're done. I'm gonna do it online right as we're talking here. I'm a big believer in Peralta. I'm already tied for last in saves. I saw that. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna get Jansen back, but that'll give me another trade asset later on too. So
right, you can trade him, and maybe I'll trade for him too when Nathan blows up. The third closer for me, like I have Cizek and Papelbon. Both of them have been perfectly good for me. I mean, everyone mocks Papelbon, how he's lost velocity, whatever, but he's fine. I'm very comfortable with Papelbon, but again, to get out of it, and I'm like probably got like 11 in saves, 11 or 12, but guys get hurt. The third closer doesn't. The beauty of this league with the innings cap is the third closer does not cost you anything. Normally if you're going to go three closers, say in NFBC, then you're short a starter. Then you're losing wins and you're losing strikeouts. To get the third closer really elevates you in saves without costing you. So that's why I love getting the third closer. Plus, it's a little bit of insurance if one of my guys does fall apart. Okay, let's do it.
And I just sent the trip.
Okay, I'll as soon as I get it, I'll accept while we're on the air. I love Rizzo, by the way. I mean, I almost, would you prefer Morneau to Rizzo, or you prefer Rizzo?
That's a good question. I like Rizzo a lot. I do like Morneau a lot. I mean, he even hit a home run off a lefty yesterday, or on Monday against Wade Miley. The thing about Morneau is, can you trust his health?
Yes, you can. It's been 2 years he's been healthy. The last 2 years.
I know he has, but I also think guys tend to get hurt more in Colorado. It's a little pet theory of mine that the thin air causes them to get hurt more often too. But I don't know. I mean, Colorado's just, that lineup is sick right now. They're just, I've been playing, I've been doing some dabbling in daily, and even on the road, I'm stacking these Rockies hitters right now. Granted, it's against Arizona's really god-awful rotation, so that's part of it. But, it's just looking like Tulo's crazy good right now. Ironically, Cargo's not hitting. I mean, Cargo's a guy that is is priced lower right now because he's not hitting. I think some people believe that he's kind of damaged, perhaps, from last year's injuries.
Yeah, you never know with him. It's always bizarre. Like last year, he was doing so well. 2 years ago, he was doing so well. Then Tulo got hurt, and he just stopped producing. And then he had like some hand injury, I think. And then last year, he was doing so well, and then had some other injury, and down the stretch did nothing. It's just there's always something that comes up with him. And you always think, wow, he puts up these numbers in 130 games. What if he played 155 games? Like, how big would he be? But we just never find out, So maybe he'll stay healthy this year. I remember in the NFBC, there were all the sort of sharps, and again, I think about that a lot, like those guys who came in the Platinum League and they were talking all this yang and how they really know better than the experts and who they were drafting, and they were big on Cargo. Those one guys who seemed a little crazy took Chris Davis and as their first pick, and that was their, they chose sixth as their top choice or something like that over first or whatever. Hey, look, the season's still young, and obviously the fluke injury that Davis had, you can't hold that against them, but that seemed weird to me, and the only guy that seemed like, it was actually smart. One guy took KJ Duke took Jose Fernandez at 15 overall. That looks decently smart right now.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, if you're ranking pitchers right now, where does he sit?
I mean, probably first or second. I mean, there's a couple guys that are around there. I mean, I think Strasburg is still in the conversation, even though he's kind of got off to a slower start. I think Scherzer's in the conversation. He's been extremely consistent and good.
What about Darvish?
Darvish, yeah, he got hit the other day. I don't know. He's in the conversation. I'm still a little worried, like the neck-back nexus that he's got going on that kind of delayed his start to the season. And I think, Kershaw next week, we might find out that he's still the number one guy when he comes back. So they're all there. I mean, I don't really think it's shifted that much. It's just Fernandez is one of those guys that you're kind of like the track record is more scant. You worry about a young pitcher, amping it up completely in the major leagues for a second season, whether the arm is going to start to wear down at all or get hurt. And it can happen very suddenly. I mean, Matt Harvey looked fantastic, amazing, and then he's just out for the year. So you worry a little bit about the younger guys, I think, more. So I think there's always that with Fernandez, but obviously there's no after effect from 2013 to 2014. He's crossed that hurdle of finishing the offseason, starting this year, hasn't missed a beat. I mean, I think the only thing making him not the clear number one, especially with the Marlins scoring a few more runs now, is that I think those young arms tend to tear a little bit more quickly than the older ones.
Yeah, you're right about that. And I just please, Marlins, don't screw him up. That's all I'm kind of thinking here. We got a national treasure. Don't mess him up. International treasure, excuse me. But hey, it's been awesome. They may have Andrew Heaney coming up soon too. They might have 2.0 version coming up.
Yeah, I wonder. I picked him up in the NFBC and stashing him, and I hope he's that good. It's obviously a very high bar to clear. But give me 3/4 of it, and I'll be very happy with that. Give me the 3.20 ERA with a strikeout an inning or 8 strikeouts per 9 for 160 innings. I'll be perfectly happy with that as a solid regular contributor to my staff. The thing about Fernandez that's interesting is that since he's from Cuba. You wonder, was he overworked the same way a lot of these American pitchers were overworked? Because all these Tommy John surgeries are coming up, and a lot of people like Joe Madden of the Rays are saying these kids, they overthrow when they're 16, 17, and a lot of this stuff is putting stress on the UCL, and by the time they get to the majors, they've already had the surgery or they've already got issues. And maybe in Cuba it's not as, obviously there's a huge amount of, incentive and competition to get out, but maybe there's not these psycho coaches the way it is in the U.S.
Or maybe it's just how they throw. Maybe these teenagers are throwing more sliders or breaking balls or cutters or whatever, whereas in Cuba, just throw. I don't know. Maybe it's a lot of different theories. Right? It's possible. A lot of these, it's like some of these pitchers though, come through the high school ranks. You get the psychotic high school coaches, or you get psychotic college coaches. But a lot of them though, you start to get a rep after a while if you're burning out arms, and kids aren't going to come to you after a while because they're going to pay attention. It's the information age. You're going to start, these college coaches are going to start losing recruits at some point in time, you would think. They start seeing all these guys go down.
Yeah, but, it's a delayed effect. It's like the cigarette companies are still denying that cigarettes cause cancer because they don't cause – you smoke a cigarette, you don't get cancer tomorrow, right? So it's it takes 25, 50 years. So there's always this it's so, who knows what he got, what caused it. And obviously the evidence was so overwhelming, even they had to finally cave. But, there's so many things that you have a cause that, far into the future, the effect takes place, and it's hard to describe. Mark Pryor breaks down. Was it Don Baylor? Was it Dusty Baker? Was it Pryor's college coach? Was it his high school coach? Who the hell knows? It's when things happen in the future. So I don't know that these guys are really getting the blame or losing recruits because of this. I think that, it's hard to tell, and these kids, these parents, they don't know. They're not looking up this kind of stuff. I think it's maybe in 10 years they will be. But not now.
Yeah, and a lot of times, too, you can take every precaution, they still break, and that's just because pitching is something that's a violent act to your arm. It's not natural, and it's just an occupational hazard.
Yeah, I think, right, there's just some sense. I think it's not necessarily so. I just think it's usually so. I think that, theoretically, someone's mechanics could be so clean that there's really no wear. You know what I mean? It's just such a smooth motion that there's no friction between the parts of the arm. I don't think no one's perfect, so they don't have it like that. But I think, in theory, you could learn to pitch in a way that you're not going to get surgery. I wonder if every single pitcher is destined for surgery, pretty much. You know what I mean? Do you think every single one? Or, Nolan Ryan never had surgery, right? He's
how about 90%? 90%, or either surgery or such severe degradation of performance that they're out of pitching anymore.
Okay, so let's say somebody pitches. Okay, so the percent of people, given a 15-year span, are either out of the league or having a surgery, you're thinking is 90 plus.
I would guess. This is just straight from the seat of my pants guess, though. There is no science in this whatsoever. I have no facts at my disposal.
This number should be known, though, right? We should know this, right? This should be a number that everyone knows.
Yeah. What number do you think it is?
I don't think that's unreasonable. I think maybe it is 80 or 90, up there, something like that.
All right.
But,
Well, and we care a lot about the feedback that we get on these videos. So, hey, you want to respond what you think the percentage is? Let us know in the comments, or just, send us a message on Twitter. We're more likely to get it there than actually seeing the comments on YouTube. Just that's the way we go. But anyways, the Yahoo guys, I think they're going to be howling about this trade, but I think it made sense for me. I think Peralta at least has the upside that Kubel doesn't have, and so I'm happy with it. We'll see if it works. It's fun to be doing a trade on video, Chris.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm psyched.
All right, cool. All right, stay tuned next week where Chris does some other awesome trade offer there, and I reject it or whatever, and I'll probably be editing this part out. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.